Something strange was happening on the farm after dark. The neighbors said it was impossible, that no horse could do what this one did. For nights, mysterious movements were seen, but no one knew the truth. Until someone decided to set up a camera, and what it captured would leave everyone speechless. The farm was quiet as the sun dipped below the horizon. The fields glowed in soft shades of orange and gold, and the trees swayed gently in the evening breeze. Birds were settling in the branches, and the cows in the pasture were slowly lying down for the night. Everything felt calm, peaceful, and safe. Inside the farmhouse, the family finished their evening chores. The smell of hay and fresh earth hung in the air. Dinner dishes were cleared, and the lights in the barn were turned on for the animals. Yet, even in this familiar routine, something felt different. Over the past few nights, strange sounds had stirred them from sleep. Soft rustling near the fences, quiet thuds on the ground, and hoofbeats that seemed to come from nowhere. At first, they tried to dismiss it. Maybe it was the wind, or maybe an animal had wandered too close to the barn. But the noises kept returning, each night a little louder, a little closer. The family began to wonder if someone or something was moving around the farm after dark. And as the shadows grew longer across the fields, the sense of mystery in the quiet evening deepened. Among all the animals on the farm, one horse stood out. His name was Shadow, a tall, strong horse with a deep brown coat that shone in the sunlight. His mane was long and black, falling in waves along his neck. Shadow had a calm presence, but there was something in his eyes that suggested he understood more than most people thought. During the day, Shadow liked to wander near the fences, watching the farm quietly. He had a curious nature, often nudging gates open or following the children as they ran through the fields. The family had grown used to his gentle but intelligent behavior. He seemed to notice small details that others missed, like a loose plank on the barn door or a bird caught in the fence. Yet, Shadow was also mysterious. Sometimes, he would stare at the forest that bordered the farm for long minutes, ears twitching as if listening to sounds no one else could hear. At night, he seemed restless, shifting in his stall or pacing slowly, and the family often wondered what went through his mind. Little did they know, Shadow's quiet, observant nature was only the beginning. His actions after dark would soon reveal a side of him no one on the farm had ever imagined. Night fell over the farm, and the world grew quiet. The animals in the barn had settled, and the last light faded from the fields. But the calm did not last. For several nights now, the family had noticed something unusual. Soft noises came from the barn or the pasture, hoofbeats that seemed too light, rustling that did not match the wind, and shadows that moved in places where no one should be. At first, they tried to ignore it, thinking it was the wind, or maybe a small animal wandering around. But the strange activity kept returning, night after night. Sometimes the noises started right after the family went to bed. Sometimes the doors of the stable were slightly open in the morning, even though everyone was sure they had been closed. Shadow, their horse, often seemed restless during these hours. He would pace his stall or quietly walk toward the edge of the pasture, staring toward the forest. The family could not explain it. Fear mixed with curiosity. What was going on after dark? Was it Shadow, or something else entirely? Each night the questions grew, and the quiet farm evenings became filled with tension and wonder. No one could have guessed the truth that was about to be revealed. After nights of strange noises and unexplained movements, the family decided it was time to find out the truth. They could no longer ignore the mystery. Something or someone was active on the farm after dark, and they needed answers. One of the children suggested, "Why don't we put up a camera? Maybe we can see what's happening." The parents agreed, and soon a small, motion-activated camera was carefully placed near the barn and the pasture. It was hidden well, so whoever or whatever was moving around would not notice it. That night, the farm felt different. The family went about their bedtime routine, but their minds were restless. Would the camera finally reveal the truth? Could it show Shadow, or someone else, moving quietly through the darkness? As the sun set and the last light disappeared from the fields, the farm grew still. The only sound was the gentle rustle of the trees and the occasional whistle of the wind. Every shadow seemed larger, every sound sharper. The family waited, hearts pounding, imagining what the camera might capture. For the first time, they felt like the night held answers, and tomorrow, they would finally see what had been happening in the dark. The first night the camera was set, the farm was unusually quiet. The family went to bed early, hearts full of both excitement and worry. They could hardly sleep, imagining what they might see when they checked the footage in the morning. At first, the camera showed nothing. Only the empty barn, the dark pasture, and the soft sway of the trees in the wind. The minutes seemed to stretch endlessly. Then, just past midnight, movement appeared in the corner of the frame. Shadow stepped out of the barn. His hooves made almost no sound on the soft earth. The horse's dark coat blended with the shadows, and his long mane swayed as he moved with careful precision. He paused, lifting his head, ears twitching as if listening for something invisible. The footage showed him walking toward the edge of the pasture, where the forest began. His steps were slow but determined, and he seemed aware of every sound around him. Every few seconds, he would stop and glance over his shoulder, almost as if checking to make sure no one was following. Then, the most astonishing thing happened. Shadow nudged open a small gate with his nose and slipped through into a part of the farm the family rarely visited. The camera followed him, capturing shadows moving between the trees and the soft rustle of leaves as he disappeared into the darkness. The family watched the footage in stunned silence. Shadow was clearly active at night, but what exactly was he doing, and why? That question hung in the air, heavier than ever, as the screen faded to black. The next morning, the family gathered around the computer, hearts racing. They pressed play, eyes glued to the screen, waiting for Shadow's nighttime journey to unfold. At first, it was just as the previous night, the dark pasture, the trees swaying gently, and the soft rustle of leaves. Then Shadow appeared, stepping carefully through the hidden path near the forest. But what he did next left everyone speechless. Shadow stopped at the edge of a small clearing and gently nudged something lying on the ground. The footage revealed a young goat, trapped in a low tangle of branches. It struggled and bleated softly, clearly scared and unable to free itself. Without hesitation, Shadow used his nose and strong hooves to carefully push the branches aside. Slowly, the goat was freed. It took a tentative step, then another, and finally ran to safety, looking back as if in gratitude. Shadow followed it a few steps, making sure it reached the edge of the clearing, then turned back toward the trees. The family could hardly believe what they were seeing. Their horse, quiet and observant during the day, had spent the night rescuing an animal in danger. Shadow's intelligence and compassion were clear. He wasn't just wandering or restless. He was helping, guiding, and protecting. Tears filled their eyes as they watched the footage again and again. Shadow had shown a side of himself no one could have imagined, a hero in the shadows, working silently, unseen, and unnoticed. For the first time, the family understood the strange noises and movements. Shadow wasn't mischievous or restless. He was caring, brave, and deeply aware of the world around him. And now, thanks to the camera, the secret of his incredible nighttime acts was finally revealed. Once the family shared the footage, the story of Shadow's nighttime heroics spread quickly. Neighbors came by to watch, eyes wide with amazement as they saw the horse carefully freeing the trapped goat. Whispers of disbelief turned into laughter, tears, and awe. "No way," one neighbor said, shaking his head. "I would never have believed it if I hadn't seen it myself." People began talking about Shadow everywhere at the local store, the school, and even on social media. Videos of his actions were shared again and again. Everyone was touched by the intelligence and kindness of a horse that risked the darkness to help another creature. The family received calls from friends, neighbors, and even strangers who had heard the story. People shared their own tales of animals showing unexpected loyalty and bravery, inspired by Shadow's quiet courage. Shadow became more than just a horse to the community. He became a symbol of compassion and cleverness, a reminder that animals could surprise humans in the most wonderful ways. The quiet farm had now captured the hearts of many, proving that even in darkness, small acts of kindness could shine brighter than anyone imagined. From that night on, Shadow was no longer just a horse to the family. He was a hero, a guardian of the farm, and a reminder of the kindness that can exist in the world. Every evening, the family would watch him quietly in the pasture, knowing that when darkness fell, he might again be out there, helping those in need. The footage became a treasure they would revisit often. Each time they watched it, they felt pride, wonder, and gratitude. Shadow had shown them that courage and compassion could appear in the most unexpected places. And though the nights remained quiet most of the time, The family could never forget the secret of their remarkable horse. Shadow's actions reminded them that even in darkness, one living being could make a difference, and that true greatness often comes quietly, without applause, and with a heart full of care.